I think, a certain disdain, if I put it in such harsh terms, for the Nigerian press. I don't think, Marco, you've ever interviewed the president. And I mean, you have your show, which has been running for close to 600 days since he's been in office. He has had 27 international press outings and only 3 within the country. Now, when you juxtapose that with what you have, you begin to wonder if this man really wants to communicate with the Nigerian people.
Sorry, Tony, I'm trying to draw the connection, you know, between the president's speech being reflected in the papers the same day the president does the broadcast and what you call disdain for the press.
I think the correlation should be that he should have had a more hands-on and personal engagement with the Nigerian people. It should have been a live broadcast. It should have been one that shows, because there were a lot of things that we had to read or infer from that broadcast. And the one that it wasn't live goes to more questions. It leads one to actually ask questions that, why is this man not speaking to us on a live broadcast? Why is it a pre-recorded broadcast? Because it was very clear that was pre-recorded. Very, very clear to every Nigerian. And you see...
This is not the first time. I mean, you can talk to press people anywhere, and this is not holding brief for the president or the presidency, but this is not the first time that we're getting a pre-recorded message. I mean, usually what will happen is that they would embargo it until the time that the president is supposed to, because this is to ensure that press people are able to get details of the president's speech before now. Some people will say that instead of a disdain, that's actually cooperating with the press to ensure that they're very much current in terms of what is going on.
Look, you are in an exceptional times. We have a lot of things that bedevil the country right now. Let's even leave recession that has been lingering for close to 4 quarters now. And I think if we have this same recession for the next, we'll be looking at a depression. That aside, you're talking about the security situation in the country, the various calls for secession from different parts of the country, which I don't really think even in his speech he addressed the way we expected him to address. I mean, the former Minister of Education, Madam Obi Ezekwesili, said it was a failure. It was a failure, a missed opportunity.
She said it was a missed opportunity.
Yes, it was a missed opportunity. Any missed opportunity is a failure, as far as I'm concerned. Look, we have to take the context within which we are as a country right now and the responses we're getting from governance to judge the entire gamut of this administration.
If you agree with her, Mrs. Ezekwesili, that you know, it was a missed opportunity, what opportunity would you say the president missed?
Well, an opportunity to connect with the people, an opportunity to assure Nigerians that despite him not being at the helm of affairs, which we're very glad that he's made recovery. I mean, there was a lot of expectation for this man as president. I mean, a lot of Nigerians had hope in his coming, that he would bring a lot of change. And him not being available to do this has put an aspersion on people. People now feel like they no longer have the hope that they had. So this was a time for him to come out and reassure Nigerians. There was a lot, look, even in the speech, we looked at the diction in the speech. There was more use of I than we. And he addressed Nigerians as my dear Nigerians instead of my fellow citizens. You know, there was more of a dictatorial stance.
What is wrong with my dear Nigerians? I mean, if you call your family members, for instance, I'm just trying to imagine a father saying, is this some, you know, attempt to just look for faults at every point? I mean, my dear Nigerians, what's wrong with that?
You know, a speech carries a lot of weight, and it's there for eternity. A speech should represent the mindset of anybody giving that speech. The mindset of that speech was one perceived through the eyes of arrogance, perceived as if this man had no care for the fact that he has not been at his duty post. I don't know if this... Let me use an analogy. You work for channels and you're ill. We understand that it's okay to be ill. And for 3 months, you haven't been at your duty post. And the next time you appear, you just give a 3-minute, 56-second speech to your employers. We, the Nigerian people, are the employers of the president. He owes us a better explanation than he gave. He owes us, first of all, I expected that the introduction would have been sort of not really an apology, but an explanation to Nigerians as to what ails him and why he has been unable to attend to the functions which we elected him to perform. And then the next step would have been to address the issues that are bedeviling the nation, and also thank the acting president for holding forth for him. We expected a lot more from the president. That's why we say, I think the major problem that the presidency has is with its communication. Maybe it needs to get a serious-minded communications person to coordinate and organize how they communicate with the Nigerian people. But for me, that was a failure to start. I think that whole speech was a failure, and in a way, we would expect for him to, in action, actually, do a lot more to assuage the feelings of Nigerians. And when he spoke about the issue of unity and referring to, I mean, how do you in 1 second refer to someone like Ojukwu in a sentence that he spent 2 days with you, and then in the next breath, you now make a comment that people who cause problems for Nigeria run away when the country starts to burn, which is a common metaphor that was used in the days of Gowon to refer to Ojukwu. So how do you make that kind of conjecture? You know, sometimes